It's 11:11. Make a wish.
Welcome to Hacking Hypermobility Podcast.
I'm Luna,
And I'm Shelly,
and we're two bendy mamas.
Hacking Hypermobility.
Hi. So I promised an episode, and here it is. What really happened today? Oh, here's two. Hello. When you guys know I have ADHD, right? So I also don't really know what time is. What is it? Well, when I told y'all I was going to be giving you an episode tonight, I had fully planned to talk about my hand surgeries. Scars? Nah, that's not great. But then I forgot that I was going to spend 7 hours talking to other people for our super awesome interviews that we have coming up. The first one we expect to be coming out in about a month-ish.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But we do want to tell you a quick story because I did recently have trigger finger surgery, right hand first, left hand second. And my doctor was very, very explicit about not doing them both at the same time because of the challenges that creates. But let's hear another story about what might happen when you have hand surgery. Shall we?
Very opposite of Shelly's experience. You could have a doctor that says, sure, let's do a carpal tunnel release on both hands at the exact same time. Because why not? It's not like you're going to need to function or anything.
Needs two hands if you have them.
I mean, my toes are good, but not that good. So the backstory very quickly was back when I did not know anything about EDS. I was 30 and pregnant. I was very excited. About 5 months into the pregnancy.
I didn't know you were pregnant when that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it gets better.
Oh.
So, fun fact. You know how when you're pregnant and then there's like the typical, like, your ankles are swelling, all the things.
Yeah.
Did you know that you can develop carpal tunnel syndrome from pregnancy?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know that.
You can. And also, you can develop carpal tunnel syndrome from pregnancy literally overnight because that's what happened to me.
The fuck?
One night, I was 5 months pregnant and I woke up with the most excruciating pain in my hand all the way up to my shoulder. And initially I thought, like, I always sleep weird, like we do. I thought I slept on it like the wrongest way possible. And it was so bad, it woke me up. I was almost in tears. And I'm like doing everything, like trying to shake it out. And it wouldn't go away. And it just stayed there. And it was fluctuating between, like, I couldn't feel my hands for about 10 years. And initially when I went back to like my midwife and I was like, hey, weirdest thing happened. My hand keeps going numb now and I can't feel anything and it's really painful and I can't get it to stop. And very casually, my midwife said, oh yeah, carpal tunnel syndrome happens to some women when they're pregnant.
I guess that's like how gestational diabetes happens sometimes.
That I was aware of, though.
Right. They make you drink that nasty shit.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. There's no forewarning. There's no nothing. It's just like, yeah, by the way, that could happen.
When you wake up in your 40s and you need reading glasses.
Yeah.
That happens overnight, by the way.
It was just all of a sudden. And it happened in both hands, which also apparently can happen. I'm also mostly righty, but also lefty, like a weird. So both hands were numb. Both hands were excruciating. At the time, I was crocheting. I crocheted. I'm very crafty, everything with my hands. I couldn't do that anymore.
That's a Tiffany sad.
It was very sad. And my work was very awesome and was trying to accommodate me as best they could. So while I was pregnant, they had me do office work, clerical work. I couldn't hold a pencil. It was so bad. Cut to my midwife. Once you deliver the baby, it'll go back. Like, you'll be fine. Thank God. That was a lie. Delivered the baby and I was still numb. And I'm like, okay, when's this? And she's like, well, your body gets lax and things get kind of out of place also before we knew about EDS. And it takes time for things to go back to the way they were. So they had me go to PT, didn't fix anything. And then I couldn't afford to go to PT. And I was like, I guess this is just what it is now, I guess. And as like a graphic artist, it's kind of important to be able to use your hands. Who needs hands? So somehow I still did it, even though I couldn't feel things. I managed to still do that. And then yeah. And then 2020 came around. I'm home from the pandemic with my kids. They're homeschooling. And it was December. So the initial wave had gone. I had finally had enough because it's just constant pain. And I'm like, it's been 10 years, man. I give up. So I go get a consultation. They do the quick little tests and they're like, yeah, you've got carpal tunnel. And clearly it's not going away. So we're just going to do a release. I'm like, cool. What does that entail? And I was told it was going to be a very simple in and out, mild surgery. I wasn't officially diagnosed with EDS at this point. I had mentioned it to my doctor in 2018, waited 9 months for a rheumatology appointment. Rheumatology saw me and said, you're definitely like, you fit the criteria. It just means you're bendy, so we're not going to do anything. And I left it at that. Never thought about what was connected. So fast forward,
Everything but nothing.
everything was connected,
But also
nothing. Nobody connects the things until we do. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Or the end of the year, because my insurance is going to run out. Like I'm home with the kids. Like there's not going to be a better time for me to do it. And because we're moms, we always put everybody else's needs and health first. And this was the first year, like my daughter wasn't having surgery. There was nothing I could do this. So I go, and it's an inpatient, like outpatient procedure, super quick. I meet this surgeon. This is our first time meeting.
that is amazing to me. You met him at the surgery.
At the day I met him when he came in with the tray to my hands. It was the first time ever meeting. And I wasn't as experienced in the medical world
Right.
as I am now. So no red flags popped up for me where I'm like, shouldn't you have seen me? Like, you're the surgeon. Like, your PA saw me and said you need surgery. So that's interesting.
See, I had the surgeon see me. Then I did another, after we decided to move forward, after I did the PT, the follow up after that was then with his PA. And then when we decided to move forward with the surgery, then I had a pre-op appointment also with the PA, but I had met the surgeon. Like the surgeon spent 30 minutes with me, putting hands on me. Like he looked at the imaging, but he felt that this is my hip surgeon, not my hand surgeon. But my hip surgeon, like hands on me. Yeah, I can. That is a loose hip. That's a tear. And he had already seen the imaging, but he also confirmed it. Hand surgeon, same thing. I met the PA came in, did her thing. Hand surgeon came in, looked at me, had the conversation. Like I met him the initial consult, and then we didn't have a pre-op appointment because of the type of surgery. It wasn't like the hip surgery that's more. I cannot believe like he rolled in while you're gowned up for this thing.
Yeah. As he's doing the thing.
Hey, I'm Dr. So-and-so. I'm going to
Yep.
cut into your hands.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you again. And I'm like, I've never met you in my life. Like, so
Hate that. Nice to see you again. Fuck you. Do you know me?
I have to get in a position to show you this. So as he's doing the thing, right, looking over, this is when he's examining me, like 10 minutes before we go to surgery. I have a metacarpal boss. You can't really see it as well on camera. There's a bone, right? And when I move, you see that jump? Those tendons catch and glide. It hurts a lot.
Yeah.
It has prevented me. I had to stop playing piano, obviously, because of carpal tunnel. I couldn't feel anything, but that's a big one too. So he notices I've got this metacarpal boss, and he goes, "Oh, you got a boss here?" Like, yeah, I've had it since I was like 8. And he's like, "Well, we can go ahead and take care of that too." He's like, "It's just simple." And I'm so happy that in my
God.
yes, he was just like, "It's a quick, like,
Do
you
you have
just shave it
quota
down."
or something?
I don't know, but it was bothering me, and it does bother me a lot. And I really was like, you know what? Yeah. And I was like, you know what? No, like, let me just do this one first, and one thing at a time. Because I'm like,
It's our first date, dude.
yeah. Well, and because also, like, truthfully, I put off the surgery, the release surgery, for 10 years because I'm like, these are my hands. If something goes wrong, I need my hands. And especially because I'm very tactile, a little sensation I did have, like, I was like, what if I can't use my hands anymore? Like, I'd heard all these horror stories.
Mhm.
So I put it off for that reason. So going in and adding another thing, I was like, no,
I'm
let's
not
do
ready
that.
for that.
So again, no red
Also, the
flags.
dichotomy there: 10 years to do the thing, and then you're asked on the spot to make a decision about something.
Yeah.
That's
Potentially major. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. So with no imaging, by the way, there was no imaging done on the boss. Like, there was
just
no
about
like
the boss. Let's get the boss over
hard
with.
enough. Good. So we go back in the room. I'm sitting there. I'm weird. I want to see. He's all like, okay, yeah, you can watch.
You were awake.
I was very much awake.
Oh, I was very much under anesthesia.
No, I was very much awake talking. I could not feel anything. I did tell him that I tend to clear blocks
fast.
very
They'll
fast.
load you up.
So he did. Couldn't feel anything. I was told it was like a very little,
Like what I have, the little slit.
little tiny thing. It was little. I mean, it was about an inch. So there's different methods they use. This was a partial open as opposed to a closed, like laparoscopic one.
Oh, yeah.
So there was like an incision into my arm.
Yep. You watched this?
I watched it. I did not pre-game. Normally, like I would look up the surgery. I didn't. So I'm watching this and I'm fine with it. Like, I'm like, oh, this is a lot more than I thought was going on. And it was a lot more, I want to say rough.
Because you can feel the pressure.
I could feel the pressure and I see like the motions and stuff. I'm like, wow, you're just all up in there.
Diving on in there, cutting off,
Just
releasing
it.
all kinds of shit.
It went smooth. Closed me up, got some stitches, bandaged me, and then
Let's do the other hand now.
yeah. So then did that, still fine. Bandaged me up, put the sutures in. I didn't know to ask for extra time or extra depth on them, I guess, so they retain better because we tend to rip them out. So
On this hand, it grew over. It started growing over the stitches. And I was like, ugh. So that's why I had these stitches taken out earlier. So that I did, because that was actually painful when they started.
oh yeah.
But actually, no, it wasn't painful because they took these stitches out under here. Because I was like, I don't like the way this looks. And he looked at it and he was like, I'll just take them out while you're under. And I was like, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you for not being Tiffany's doctor.
So we get done.
Dr. Chris Jones, Luminous Orthopedics.
I'm not going to say my doctor's name.
That's fair. You're welcome.
To the doctor, I guess. But yeah, so I've got gauze paws now. So I'm all bandaged up. I got the gauze paws. That's what I was calling it. Because if you watch Grey's Anatomy.
If this was a G episode, I don't watch Grey's Anatomy, but we could call this gauze paws.
Okay, so there's a Grey's Anatomy episode with Callie who was like, I absolutely have loved Callie's character.
Who's the actress? Never mind. Carry on. Story.
Sarah Ramirez. Okay.
I don't know who that is. I don't know why I asked.
So she's got poison ivy and she's trying to scratch. And she's scratching and scratching, which she's not supposed to.
Yeah.
So they put gauze and she goes, please take off my gauze paws. And the way she said it was just adorable. So I call my gauze paws. So he gives me the post-op instruction things. My dad has driven
Were
me.
you by yourself?
No, my dad
Okay, you just said that.
drove me. So as I'm leaving, and mind you, I'm not thinking future term, and I'm like, oh, pain meds. Like, do you give me the script or do you call it in? Like, what's the protocol? And he goes, you don't even need it. Just take some Tylenol and ibuprofen. And I'm like, okay, I can't actually take ibuprofen because I have ulcerative colitis. So I really can't take ibuprofen. It will like kill me, like cause me to flare up really bad.
I like my intestines.
It's like, you should be fine with just Tylenol. And in my head,
I'm sorry, sir. You met me. How long was the surgery?
It wasn't long. It was only like 20, 30 minutes.
You met me a half an hour ago, sir.
True.
Fuck off.
I didn't have the same.
I know.
Courage.
It's different. I know. I wouldn't say that to a doctor.
Well, at the time, I'm like, all
Although I
right.
am going to demand symmetrical incisions on my left hip surgery. I want to match. I think my tear's on the back side.
He says you don't need it. Like, most people just, take Tylenol and they're fine. Like,
I'm not most people.
the typical brushing off of like, you don't need this. Now, mind you, it doesn't dawn on me what I've just witnessed. I've seen what he's done, right?
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I guess maybe there's less pain in that part of your hand. Because I know when I get a paper cut, I'm dying and it hurts. But maybe this giant incision and going halfway up my arm is not as painful. Okay. So, and at the time, I'm still numb from the nerve block. So I'm like, you know what? Fine.
He felt okay.
Yep. Let's get home. The surgery center was about 45 minutes away from my house because I'm very
Oh God, you
rural.
were dying before you got home.
So as we're driving on the highway, the block starts wearing, and he had told me that I should be numb for at least 12 plus hours. So in my head, I'm fine with that, right? He's like, the worst part you're going to be numb
reasonable.
for. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. We're not even like halfway home and I'm starting to hurt. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel great. Like, I'm not a fan of that. That's that's kind of sore. And we keep driving home. And by the time I get home, I'm like, oh God, like I start feeling this panic of what have I done? Because I'm in a lot of pain already.
And then you realize this is both of my hands.
No, that comes next.
Oh, you didn't even, okay.
So I get home. I actually had my dad stop at a CVS to get me Tylenol on the way home because I'm like, this is already hurting and I know it's going to take a minute.
Yes.
I'm going to start taking Tylenol now. So by the time I got home, I was already like still feeling it. Wasn't as bad as it was going to get. I didn't know that. Dad asked if I need anything and we had stopped and like got like a smoothie thing so I could drink my food. I'm like, I'm good. Like, I'm very independent. I'm like, nope, go on home. I'm good. Did I mention that I have ulcerative colitis? I think I did.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Do you have a bidet?
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh no. Lots of mistakes were made here. I'm in a lot of pain.
cross that dude's mind.
Anybody's mind, it's all over my chart. At one point did he say, hey, you clearly haven't thought this through. What are you going to do about basic human hygiene?
Oh my God. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't. It just doesn't occur to you. I had planned for cooking, pre-cooked things, so I would just have to heat it up. I did the dishes. I went through everything except one of the most fundamental.
The thing you do multiple times a day.
Yes. And which is brought on by stress and injury. We're not at that point yet, though. So I call the hospital back because I have that paper that says if there's any complications, call this number. So I call and I said, hey, I know you said I don't need the pain meds. However, that nerve block is already gone. So I am already feeling this very intensely. And I'm concerned that some of the nerve block is still there. And this isn't as bad as it's going to get. I've already taken Tylenol. I can't take ibuprofen. So what else do we got going on? Because this Tylenol's not cutting it already. Nurse said, we're going to call you back. So like an hour later, I get the phone call back. They discussed it. Dr. So-and-so does not prescribe narcotics for this surgery.
Dr. So-and-so is a dick.
So I was like, well, what does Dr. So-and-so suggest that I do?
It says Tylenol and ibuprofen again.
He said Tylenol, ibuprofen, ice, rest my hands, elevate my hands was basically what I was told to do.
I'm going to go pee. All right. Someone come blap me.
Still hadn't occurred to me yet on that. So then out of sheer desperation, I start taking ibuprofen because it's hurting so bad. And I'm in so much pain already. And I have a very high pain tolerance.
We talked about this surgery, but this is the first time I'm hearing this part. My friend.
I know. So my stomach starts hurting. And I'm like, tune out now if you're squeamish.
Yes, you don't want to hear this. If you don't like to hear about food, this isn't for you.
This isn't for you. Either fast forward or skip. I'm sorry.
When we edit, I might put in a timestamp, but also it's 10 o'clock. So
fair warning. So I take the ibuprofen, I take the Tylenol, I can't do any more. And like an hour later, it dawns on me the seriousness of the situation I'm finding
grave
myself
error.
in. The very, very big mistake. My kids are at my parents' house because I'm recovering, right? My husband's at work. I'm home alone.
Oh no!
I'm thinking this is totally fine because I'm so independent and like, I got this. I have to go to the restroom. I have gauze paws. My hands are wrapped. I don't have opposable thumbs anymore. How am I going to get my pants off? Because I did not wear a skirt. I wore pants.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm not supposed to be moving my hands.
What are you going to do?
I cut a little slit And then I
Did you
had
stick like a chopstick or something?
like a hook kind of thing. And I used a hooking, like I made
Just like a
myself little hooks.
crochet hook.
It's kind of like a crochet hook.
It's a multifunctional tool.
It was that day. So I got the pants down, relief, better. And then I'm stuck there and I'm like, my God, I didn't think this through at all. Thankfully, I have gloves, medical gloves.
Yeah.
So I gloved up and then I did the thing. I can't begin to explain how excruciating that was. Like the physical act on my hands.
I can believe that because I had pain meds, and if I bumped mine wrong, and I had a tiny, and I was also put under anesthesia. Like, so I didn't even have the trauma of everything before that.
And that part wasn't even trauma because I'm very interested in like medical
Well,
science.
right. But I just mean the trauma of the being dismissed and the doctor.
That-
you know what I
that
mean?
hit
I
later.
had none of that.
Yeah.
Like,
It was miserable. I mean, I was in tears. I called again after. And then the second time when they were like, we're not going to prescribe you because it's like, now it's like drug seeking behavior because God forbid I want. And I even said, I was like, listen, I don't care if you don't I don't necessarily want the opioid things because I had a knee surgery with oxycodone and OxyContin and it didn't work. And
Yeah.
the morphine pump didn't work. I was in excruciating pain because we didn't know.
yeah, you don't know.
My
what to
body
do.
doesn't metabolize pain meds right. And I was like, that's fine. Just give me something
Something's better than I can't take something better than what I can't take.
I can't take. So I got nothing. Then
They didn't even give you Tylenol 3?
no, I can't do codeine.
Oh, yeah, the ENS. Yeah.
So a couple days later, I have a gastrointestinal appointment already set up. And thank God she let me do it virtual.
God.
And I remember vividly, I'm on virtual. She sees the gauze pause and she goes, oh my God, what happened? And I proceed to tell her the surgery. And I'm like, so I'm having a really bad flare up. Why? Why are you having a bad flare up? Because I'm taking a shitload of ibuprofen and Tylenol. Even though I know I can't take it, they wouldn't
Because they won't
prescribe
give me
me.
anything else.
She was absolutely livid.
Good.
Livid. And got his name. She's like, I'm going to talk to this doctor. And by this time, the pain had gone down enough where I was like,
You could have a conversation.
I was still doing Tylenol and ibuprofen. It was manageable. I was still in
You were in a
pain,
better place.
but I'm not going to ask for more pain meds because I've already done that 3 times and it
Yeah.
hasn't worked. It's
So
not
call
even
from
my
another
doctor.
of your doctor. So what happened after she called?
Well, because I didn't even want to ask her because it's not her thing. Like that would be weird. I'm like, hey,
No, but
gastro.
I mean, did she ever come back to you and say, like, did she do anything with his name or anything?
Contacted him
Okay.
and Dr. Talk chewed him out for prescribing.
Having that be your aftercare.
Yes. She said that was
They're
absolutely
contraindicated.
inadequate. Yes. And then she went on, she called me back and she was like, I have put down in your chart that you are allergic to NSAIDs. Because it wasn't in my chart. It was just like, I can't take it. But it was never like listed under allergy.
Yeah.
And she was like, because now
you'll get a band on your wrist.
she's like, now if they try to give you NSAIDs, it's in
Please
your chart.
document in my chart that you want me to take something that I'm allergic to.
Exactly.
And that you won't give me anything else.
Exactly.
Oh, wait.
So now we know.
I can say that now. I can say that now.
Now I can. Now
Now I don't need to because
Now
I
I
found doctors that aren't dicks.
true. Well, now I also wouldn't jump into a surgery.
Well, that's
Like-
lessons are learned, and that's life.
It is, and now we know better. Didn't know that that was also associated with EDS, by the way.
Yeah.
So you know, but yeah. So don't do surgery on both hands at the same time. It is a terrible idea, and I know you're probably thinking like, just get it done, and then it's done. I made mistakes, and I regret them. I'm very happy it's done. I'm very grateful that it worked really well. I can feel my hands again. Very rarely do I have like the numbness anymore. So it did its job. It was just the worst and most difficult way possible to do it. So don't do that.
So that's why when you hear a horror story about a surgery, talk to more than one person about that because very different experiences. With yours was a different kind of surgery, but it was an outpatient hand surgery type situation.
Yeah.
And we both had successful outcomes, but one of us went through needless trauma.
So I won't go get the boss taken care of, even though there's times where it really
You gotta
hurts
leave the
now.
boss alone.
I don't even want to mess with it now because I'm so scared.
Yeah. Well, if you ever decide to mess with the boss, you should drive your ass up here and see my doctor. He's amazeballs. And also, the whole reason I ended up at the hand surgeon, because it was on my mind, but obviously I did not go into 2024 with the intention of having those 3 surgeries.
Sure.
But when I went in for my follow-up, my 6-week follow-up on my hip, I was wearing a finger brace on my right hand. And Dr. Petrie's like, how's your hip? I'm like, my hip feels fantastic. This is not great. I'm like, I know you know some hand surgeons. He's like, I know a few. I'm like, well, tell me the best one. And he's like, Dr. Chris Jones, Luminous Orthopedics, Annapolis. I just gave you 2 blood stuff. And so they actually, because it was the same like orthopedics practice, like they have different specialty sections, but
Sure.
it's a big, his front desk staff, while I was at my 6-week appointment for my hip, called over and made me the appointment to see Dr. Jones for a consult. So I left my 6-week hip appointment knowing that however many weeks up, I think it was only a 2-week turnaround, maybe. That I was going to actually be seen for that. And then I had that great experience where he came in, he was like, yep. And one of the first things he said, again, yeah, these are both messed up, but don't do them at the same time. He's like, you can do them relatively quickly in succession, which I did. 10 days is mine, December 2nd, December 12th. But yeah, not at the same time.
That was the other thing. My surgery was December 20th.
Oh my God, right before Christmas?
Because why not do it right before Christmas where it's not like you have to wrap presents or
This is
I don't know what I was thinking.
You were thinking deductible resets in 10 days.
That is what I was thinking. That was the big one. I was like, why not just do it? Because impulsive and undiagnosed ADHD and just do it now.
All right.
I got 10 days. Let's do it. Why not?
Happy New Year.
Ooh.
All right. I think we should high five because
With our good hands.
yeah. All right. That was actually 10. It was. But this is what you get tonight.